Hey everybody, Hoosier Jedi here with another review for you. This time I'm talking about episode 7 of season 3 of The Walking Dead called When the Dead Come Knocking. Again, this is another really great episode, and I think it's probably going to go down as probably one of the best of this season in what has been a really great season. And of course, one of the main reasons that's going to happen is we get to see Glen brutally headbutt Merle Dixon. Folks, I'll tell you, I'll make you a prophecy right now. That's probably going to go down as a fan favorite moment of this entire series. Everybody I've seen talking about this episode online has really been raving about that scene. And oh man, if there was any doubt that Glen has come a long way from when we first met him, and even then, he was presented as a pretty resourceful and clever guy. Glen is officially badass by doing that, and then he goes on to top it by basically surviving a walker while being tied to a chair. I mean, wow. And you got to think, right there is proof that the governor does have genuine reason to be concerned if there's like what, 8 or 9 other guys just like Glen out there somewhere, then there obviously are formidable enough to present a threat to him. Of course, what the governor is completely blind to is the fact that simply if he just leaves the people at the prison alone, they will never bother him. But as I've said, yeah, and it's even pointed out here that the governor is likened to Jim Jones, that the governor cannot stand anybody or anything that is not within his control. And that's ultimately going to be bad for him, it's going to be bad for Woodbury, and it's most definitely going to be bad for everybody at the prison. Now, as long as we're talking about Glen, let's talk about the stuff that was going on with him and Maggie in Woodbury. I suppose that's a good enough place to start. One, I do like that Glen didn't bow, Glen didn't bend, Glen didn't break. He was just rock solid. And again, all of this, well, certainly a testament to Glen's character, is again just more ammunition in the governor's mind as to why the people at the prison are a threat. And his interaction with Merle, besides headbutting, was also some pretty tense stuff. Now, I did like that Merle brought up T-Dog, because one, it reminds us of T-Dog's sacrifice from a couple of episodes ago. It reminds us that the prison was not taken and secured without cost to the good guys. And it does harken back to Merle's genuinely legitimate complaints against the good guys. They did leave him handcuffed up on that roof to die in a way that, he's right to say is really a death you wouldn't give to an animal. And Merle is right to point out that it was T-Dog who had dropped the keys to his handcuffs. Now, given their history in those very early episodes, it's really not unreasonable to think that in Merle's mind, he could think that maybe T-Dog did that deliberately. I mean, Merle was very much hitting poor T-Dog with his whole "I'm a racist redneck" thing in the face pretty darn hard. And it was clear from those episodes that T-Dog was certainly no fan of Merle's. But again, to be fair to T-Dog, he genuinely did want to go back and save Merle because he felt bad about leaving Merle in that situation. So T-Dog, yeah, he screwed up when he dropped the keys, but that was a genuine accident. There's nothing immoral in T-Dog's actions apart from going along with leave Merle. But again, that's what everybody else did, and they did try and go back for him. So, yeah. Now, of course, Merle doesn't know that. He probably just thinks that they're just saying whatever they think will save their asses. But, come on. Merle's story about how he was going to lower his gun. Well, no, we completely saw that he was going for the gun behind his back. Merle is completely BSing and trying to justify his actions. Yeah, and again, it's like I said last time. If Merle had just stayed cool and said, "Okay, I'll wait here, go get my brother," then none of this would have happened. But okay, I think we've established that Merle is in no way, shape, or form really on the moral high ground here. Now, Oh yeah, there was one more thing about that interrogation scene where he's talking, and he says to Glenn, "We, is that right?" As if him confirming that there are more people out and about roaming around other than Glenn and Maggie is some humongous shock. But Merle came on them scavenging, among other things, baby supplies. So, I mean, maybe he didn't really pay too much attention to what it was that they had or whatever, but the idea that there being more people out there than just Glenn and Maggie is very, very weak information to have. I mean, it's something you could probably pretty easily assume. Now, granted, it was just Shawn and Andrea out there for quite a while, so it's certainly within the realm of possibilities that two people could survive out there together, but badass as he is, Glenn's not quite in Shawn's league, I think. He's up there, but he's not out there slicing zombies up with katanas. So yeah, and well, you know what? I think there's enough said about that. Speaking of Michan, I did like her interaction at the prison, but well, for one thing, seriously, lady, what exactly is the problem with telling these people your name? It's very obvious by the fact that you've got all that baby junk that you came there for a reason, and you're obviously seeking some degree of help from them because you've been shot and you have information that can be of extraordinary use to them. Again, if you want anything from these folks, you're going to have to give a little. Now, granted, Michan has very good reasons to play things extremely close to the vest, but by not so much as sharing her name with them, she really just makes her whole situation worse. Now, again, she's just come from Woodbury. She doesn't know anything about Rick. She has very good reason to be wary, but, you have to give to get. And I do have to give Rick some points. He does play that situation very cool. You can very clearly see that law enforcement training coming into play, just trying to calm her down, reason with her, all that other good stuff. And I do like that we get to see, and there are no words spoken, Michan watching everybody react to seeing the baby and to Carol being okay. She's seeing real humanity from Rick and from everyone else. Not these people sheltered from the world, living in... You know what I'm actually reminded of in a strange sort of way? If you've ever seen or read The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, the Morlocks and the Eloi. Now, granted, I admit I'm stretching that example to a pretty intense degree, but it's something that did come to my mind. And if you're not familiar with The Time Machine, I haven't actually had the chance to read the book, but I did watch the movie version, the good version, the one that was made like back in the early '60s with the guy from Mr. Ed as co-star. But that's a really good movie. I know they did a remake of that a couple of years ago that everyone, from what I heard, said really sucked, but whatever. So yeah, we do get to see Michan seeing that the people at the prison are she at least gets some indication that these aren't like the people in Woodbury. These are genuinely good people who have not traded the good parts of their souls for the security, the very questionable security that the governor offers. We also get to see, and just looking at my notes here off to the side, we get to see a very long overdue conversation between Rick and Carl. And I like that Rick frankly just admits, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you as your father when you needed me. I'm sorry you had to do that to your mother. And, Carl's cool about it. They're on other shows, now granted, like some family drama or something like that, well, they probably wouldn't be zombies and, people shooting each other and stuff. But if there was some kind of family drama on like a regular show, there'd be a lot of, yelling and screaming and, teenage brattiness and, other than that. all that other stuff. You know, what we're used to on regular shows. Here in this world, there's no time for that. There's no need for that because Rick and Carl understand each other. They understand the emotional trauma of what has happened. And frankly, in this world, people just don't have the luxury of that kind of BS. Now, I do like that also that they did take the time to have a lighter moment. You know, Rick's reaction to finding out that Daryl had been calling the baby ass kicker, and then just his genuine pleasure and amusement at Carl's decision as to what to name the baby. Now, Judith, if you're not familiar with the comics, is the name they did go for, the baby in the comics. I'm not terribly surprised by this. I mean, there really is absolutely no reason in terms of storytelling to change the baby's name, so they didn't change it. Don't really know what else to say about that. I know some people were online were a little bit worked up about this, but at the end of the day, it seems something that's kind of trivial to me. Now, to move along. Oh yeah, almost forgot to talk about the scene with Andrea and the governor. First of all, like I said last week, I was really worried about what was going to go on with Andrea now that she was a prisoner in Woodbury. Some seriously bad stuff happened in Woodbury in the comics. I won't go into details as to what happened to who, but well, it's safe to say that Andrea, at least so far, has gotten off lighter than the unfortunate female character in the comics. So, yeah. But again, what the governor is doing there, that's classic interrogation tactics. And I do like that the first thing he does is, you know, like, hey, why don't you tell me where your friends are and we'll take you to them. And of course, Andrea doesn't buy it. Andrea. Maggie. Have I been calling her Andrea? Oh, God almighty. Okay, Maggie. Maggie doesn't buy that for a minute. And, you know, I don't think the government really even thought for a second that that was going to work. I think he wanted Maggie to sort of mentally shift into a position where she was thinking like, okay, if this is the best this guy can do, then I'm going to be all right here. And of course, that's an error on her part. As soon as that's over with, the governor shifts into full-on evil mode and makes it quite clear that, no, I'm not that person you thought I was a second ago. And if you don't tell me what I want to know, I'm going to freaking rape you. And, you know, that kind of mentally keeping somebody off balance, forcing somebody to take off their clothes, you know, that's all classic interrogation stuff for wearing people down, getting through their defenses. And to her credit, as freaked out as she obviously is, you know, Maggie holds strong. You know, she does not care about what happens to herself. She considers that she could take anything that he does to her. It's only when the governor threatens to kill Glen, and he's obviously about to go through with it, no dicking around, that she breaks. Now, I'm sure there are some folks out there, and I've seen a few who are upset that, you know, Maggie's the one that cracked and are taking this as some kind of massive insult to women. You know what, folks? We're not even going to go there. I make it not a point not to really talk about these sort of things in my videos, simply because like things like this and like race, and if you really get into like too much stuff like income inequality, people just lose any and all ability to be rational thinking people. Everybody has to trot out their emotional baggage and all this other junk, and that is why I avoid that, talking about these sort of things in my videos. Okay, we're just here talking about a TV show. We're here to have fun. I don't want things to get heavy and nasty around here. But in this particular instance, I'm going to step away from that just this once and say, I think that's a complete BS charge. All right? If you can't look back over everything that has happened since she was introduced and not say that Maggie is a strong female character, then you have not been watching the same TV show that I have. Okay? Everybody has their limits. And male or female, a bad guy sticking a gun in the face of somebody that a character loves and saying, if you don't answer my question, I'm going to kill this person, and in no way, shape, or form being, not joking about that, then, man, there are very few characters on TV that I can't think of heck of any of them who would not crack and answer the question. So to take this as some sort of insult to women in general, no, man. Okay, that's BS reasoning, and I don't hold with it. Okay, so now we are officially finished with the sociology aspect of this review. Hopefully that will not come to bite me in the butt later, but well, if you disagree, you know what? That's fine. And in fact, if you disagree, you're free to post in the comments about that. But again, keep it civil, folks. If you can't keep it civil, I'll remove the comments, and if you really can't keep it civil, I'll ban you from my channel. But yeah, feel free to disagree. Just remember, be respectful, please. Now we will really move away from that and continue talking about Andrea, and yes, I actually do mean Andrea this time, and her interaction with the geeky scientist guy. Actually, no, I do have to step back to the sociology thing for just 1 minute and say that I definitely felt the shot of Andrea in her panties was pretty darn gratuitous. I mean, look, folks, that really just did not need to be there. I mean, I enjoy my fan service as much as the next fanboy, but no, the ass shot was really not needed there. Okay, anyway, moving on into Andrea and the geeky dude. Okay, look, I can understand Andrea not wanting to get into major depths about what happened when her sister reanimated. That's obviously something that's still going to be very painful, very raw for her, even after what been something in the neighborhood of a year since that happened. Okay, so I can understand her not saying that. On the other hand, she does have information about what happens when people reanimate that was given to her and the group by the dude at the CDC. Now, Milton, the geeky dude, you'd think that if anything that she told him that came directly from the mouth of an established, credentialed scientist who was studying this problem, if she'd laid some of that on him, he might have been much more willing to listen to her. Instead, Milton was an enormous moron who almost got himself bit. And you gotta wonder, out of everybody that they could have picked in Woodbury, does the fact that Andrea is sleeping with the governor have to do with the fact that she was the one that was sent in there to help him out? I mean, really, they couldn't have sent one of the thug dudes. Now, granted, they probably would not have been the best choice of lab assistant, but you know what? I'm not even going to go in there. That to me, now that I'm saying it out loud, doesn't even seem like something worth dwelling on. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about a few other little details. The crazy dude at the shack. First of all, him being there seems absolutely ridiculously contrived. Although what we did see with them throwing him his body does seem to confirm that the walkers will go after something that, if it's still warm, then okay, good enough, which explains why that one walker went after Lori's body. Alright, I can buy that. That seems like a reasonable enough idea. What does not seem reasonable is that Rick and Daryl and the strike team, shall we call them, while trying to sneak towards a town that they know to be filled with bad guys holding their friends prisoner, they decide to go along a spacious, clearly marked trail through an area that they know and even say in the episode is regularly patrolled by the Woodbury people. Okay, if you are trying to sneak up on somebody, you don't walk down the middle of the freaking road to where they live. Oh boy. Yeah. Okay. Now, there is one last thing that I do want to talk about, and it's actually the music. Now, Walking Dead has had some pretty nice music. I'm still in awe of the way they use Johnny Cash's "I See a Darkness" in the preview for one of the episodes from last season. I don't recall which one off the top of my head. But here during the last few minutes, we get this very bizarre background music that goes something like that. I'm terrible at making music sounds with just my mouth. You're looking at a guy who's never going to win a beatboxing championship, that's for sure. Anyway, if you just listen to those last few minutes of the music, you know what I'm talking about. And I just was listening to that and thinking, this music is extraordinarily inappropriate. I know it's probably meant there to heighten the tension, but it just feels like the sort of music that I'd hear in like a slasher movie. I kept expecting Michael Myers to pop out of the woods chasing Jamie Lee Curtis or something like that. It just did not work for me. It just made the scenes seem a little ridiculous. Okay, folks, that's all I have for you this time around. Hopefully my tangent onto sociological issues did not disturb too many of you folks. I'm going to try and avoid that in the future. As I said, I don't really like to go there, but this episode just really, I think, demanded that I make an exception. And with that said, folks, as always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. You can, of course, follow me on Twitter at Hoosier Jedi. And until next time, take care and have a good one.